So welcome back to Digger Detecting, everybody. Welcome also to the back room, and I've got a bit of an idea for a video today, seeing as though it is too wet to get out detecting, and something that I've been meaning to do anyway, so something that I want to share and show as we go, and that is making up these display frames that we have here in front of us, full of coins and relics. And these here on the bench are my own personal ones. As you can see, we've got one on each side, and they're just fantastic pieces, full of wonderful history, and I love enjoying looking at them. So what we're going to do today is we are going to show how I make these frames up, but not only that, we're going to fill it full of finds that we've found at our local town founder's property just recently, and we're going to give that display board back full of these finds back to the landowner Russell, and I'm certain he's going to love it. So stick with us. We're going to get out into the shed. If you have access to a hammer and nails and even a wooden pallet, I tell you what, you'll be able to build one of these too. So get out in the shed now, light the fire, and we will make a start. Rightio guys, here we are out in the shed. We've lit the fire and it's nice and warm, which is good because I tell you what, it's bloody cold outside on a winter's day. So we've made a little bit of a workbench here in front of us too, and we've put all our coins and relics in the plastic container up the back, and we're ready to build our frame out on this workbench and then start placing everything in. And what we're going to build our frame out of is this wooden pallet right here off to the left. But what I wanted to quickly show before we start busting it up is the difference in pallets. So look, if you're going down to your local hardware store or Bunnings or what have you, looking to collect some free pallets, they generally throw them out on the curbside for free collection. But if you're going down there looking for them, try and avoid the E-pallets, because ideally they're not great for building out of. Not bad for firewood, but not good for building out of. Too hard to break up, the wood is too thin, it's just not ideal, and the nails that they use really don't let go all that easily. So unless you're going to chop them up for firewood or use them for a workbench, they're not ideal. What is ideal though is these bigger, thicker pallets. They're generally about 25mm thick in the wood there. Well, let me just show you the difference, because some of the pallets that you can get are a little bit thinner. So these are about 10mm in width as opposed to 25mm. You can really see the difference there. So if you're looking to get the pallets, the ones that we've got leaning up against the workbench here are ideal and perfect for building with, and they generally separate and come away from the bearers quite easily. So, and you don't bust up your wood. Anyway, he can go back into the firewood, and let's, as I said, pull this pallet across, because we're going to show how I bust them up. So, and ideally, we are going to build quite a big frame. I'm just sort of picturing it in my mind. I haven't taken measurements or anything just yet, but ideally, I'm thinking it's going to be sort of from that end there, you know, to about that long. So quite a big rectangle frame, like what we showed inside there. So let's show you a look at how we break them up. Now you can use, you know, look, you could use a mallet and a lever bar, crowbar, what have you. However, this is called a pallet breaker or a pallet buster. And as you can see, she's pretty crude. She's just been welded up with a couple of bits of angle iron and a couple of bits of square tube steel. And ideally, what it does is it sits on the bearer there in the middle, and using that counter lever action, we just pop the boards up. So quite simple. It takes a lot of stress off your shoulders trying to pop them up or trying to bash pallets apart all day. It can be quite tricky. So, and look, you will break a few pallets here and there, but nowhere near like what you do with the old mallet or hammer trying to separate them. So once you've got two off, you simply just walk him up, wiggle him out, and sit him aside. And some of these boards, they can be a little bit crooked. So I'm just looking down him now just to try and ID him. He has got a bit of a bow in him, got a bit of a smile in him. But that's okay, because we look, we don't do too much to them. I sort of like that rough look, but we do have the planer, the sanders, everything here. We can knock a bit of that bend out if we need. So we're not going to go too fussy though. We're just going to show you a quick, simple method of how to make these frames up. So, and I said, you don't need that pallet buster. It is handy, however, with a simple pallet from Bunnings, like we've got here, and a hammer, you can separate these boards, no worries. So once again, a little bit of a kink, but he's not too bad. So let's get this last board off. 3 boards is all we need. 2 for the outer frame, and 1 that we'll cut in half for the edgings. tricky to do one hand. Still a lot easier than a mallet though. So there we go, last board. Ooh, settle down. Popping board off everywhere. So there you go. Third board, not too bad. Probably the neatest of the three. The straightest of the three. So simple as that. We've knocked off 3 boards, exactly what we need. We'll put the pallet away for another day. And now what we're going to do is we're going to hammer those nails out and start measuring up, put them on the table saw and start cutting. So pretty simple stuff. As you've seen, we just knocked out the nails and we've got all our boards laid out on the bench. We're just starting to measure them up too. We are going to go 800 long. We are going to make it a rectangular frame, as I said. So 800 long by 400 wide on each corner. Just noticing here we've got a little bit of damage on one end. So we're going to chop that out, make sure we measure from the best end where there's no damage. Same thing with this one, a little bit of damage up in that corner. So we need 2 800 long boards. We'll just mark them as 800, and we need 2 400 boards, which will be somewhere about there, and we'll have to chop straight through the guts. So let's measure them out now. Let's see what we've got, and then, as I said, over to the table saw to give them a chop. So how weird is that? You know how I said just randomly, somewhere about 400 would be there, that squiggly line. Well, look where it ended up being, right beside it. There we go, it makes me look like I know what I'm talking about. 400, and we have not marked the next 400 line. What we'll do is we'll chop the first one, lay the board over and use it as a measurement to chop the second. So let's get over to the bench saw now and do that. So we're just going to do them on the drop saw here. Ideally, I am cheating, and you could do it with a hand saw if you do not have these power tools at home. They are a new addition for me too, so don't get me wrong, everything I've done prior has been by hand. However, we're cheating today. We're going to do 2 boards at once with the drop saw. Ready? I've still got all my fingers. Bonus. That's one done. Now we need to chop the 400, and as I said, we're going to flip him over once we've done this and use the 400 that we've just cut on this side for a template. Fingers, everybody. Flip him over, line him up, somewhere about there. Looks pretty good. Let's go over onto the next. Well, there it is, Russell's display frame laid out on the bench and starting to take shape. And I know it does not look all that pretty right now. If we took it up to Russell, he'd say, mate, why have you brought me 4 bits of wood? However, what we're going to do now is we're going to chop it in half because the wood is too wide. So we need to put a backing on it, and we need to chop it those side frame pieces in half. Because I'll just show you quickly, if we were to lay our relics and coins and everything out there, as you can see, they get lost in the depth of the frame. So it does not look right. And if you were to put glass on top, well, as I said, there'll be about, a couple of inches of gap. So we want them pressed up against the glass almost, and to achieve that, we need to chop these boards directly in half. And look, I know I said at the start of this video, if you have access to a hammer and nails and a pallet, you will be okay to build this, and you would, you could do everything by hand. However, we are going to cheat a little bit and use that table saw. That's what it's there for. So a new addition once again, and as I said before, everything I used to do was by hand. So what we now need to do is just measure these boards just quickly. I think they're about, 93 mil. I'm just seeing there on the ruler. So somewhere about halfway in the middle, 46 odd, 46 and a half, we will measure out and then chop them at that, come back and give you a bit of a look at the width of the boards. And then we're going to start putting a backing board on and then laying all our fines out. And it's going to look spectacular. So let's do that, put them on the bench saw, we'll come back, give you a look. Well, we've done it. We've managed to cut those boards directly in half and they look great. And they're matching up quite well too. I won't say perfect because we had to adjust that template nearly every time because those pallet boards, none of them are all the same. They're all a little bit wonky. So ideally you probably need to put them through a planer or thicknesser before you start building. But I don't have one of those. So we're just doing the best we can. So anyway, we kept all our fingers and toes. We've chopped up the boards. These are the ones that we're going to be using. What we have over here is some duplicate pieces, more material to make up another frame in future for another landholder or even myself. So let's put these boards out. We've got an end piece, another end piece, a top and a bottom. Let's give you a bit of a look. So as I said, the boards that we had there before, let me just line them up. They were too deep, too wide. So now once we put our fines in, remember that's going to have a backing plate on it too. But now once we put our coins and buttons and relics and all our wonderful fines in, and they're going to be sitting underneath the glass, remember. They're going to be sitting right up against the glass and they're going to look perfect. So what we're going to do now, we're going to put our coins and relics back. I keep showing them off just to show what that looks like with the depth there, because you don't want to make the frame too deep. What we're going to do now though is we need to knock off a few more boards off the pallet here, or even take some out of the supply, the wood supply that I've got going on. It's like Bunnings in here. Basically take a few boards and lay them across the back, and that will account for the what all the fines and pieces will be glued down onto. Then we're going to put some hashing on top, so it's going to look amazing. Russell's going to love it. Well, we've just completed that next step and we've knocked him together with a couple of nails. Now ideally what I was going to use is some screws, however I thought it'd be cool to straighten out the nails that we took out of the pallets earlier and repurpose them in the side of the frame there. So there he is. He needs a bit of a sand up. He's a little bit crooked there. He's got a bit of a wobble. That's okay. And probably this bench is not level either. Anyway, what we're going to do now is we're going to put the back on him, and as you've seen there before, you do have a slight thickness difference in the boards. So that one being the thick type, and then we've also got the thin type. So you can really see the difference in thickness, 10mm and 25mm for memory. So anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to select some boards that I've got down here already chopped up and knocked out the nails out of already. And we're going to see what we've got, because these need using up. So we're going to chop them up. There is slight difference in thickness again in these, probably 25 and that one's 20mm. Then the thinner type go down to the 10 or 15mm. So we're going to pluck out a few matching boards. They look pretty good over the back there, or underneath. Let's have a look. These look like they've been sitting there waiting to do the job. And as you can see, they're all matching in the same thickness. That 20 or 25mm I think it is for memory. So look, they'll do. They're going to work perfectly, and they're going to be our back for our frame here. So I said it's like Bunnings in here. Just select some boards. So there we go. They are probably a little bit thick, and there's not going to be that much weight required in holding down the fines. It's not going to be that much weight in this frame. So look, we probably don't need to go that thickness. We might even double back and see if we've got a few thinner boards such as these that we might be able to use. They look a bit better. Let's match them up. Let's compare the pair. So there we go. A little bit thinner. I think that's what we're going to go with. So we're going to lay them out, work out what we're going to use. We'll come back and we're going to give you a look. Well, we end up selecting those smaller, skinnier boards, as you can see, and we've just trimmed them up. We've got everything glued up and ready to go into place. So let's do it. Let's line it all up, hammer it in, and then we can flip him over, lay the hessian, start laying all the fines. And hey presto, we've got our frame all made up, ready to give to Russell. Nearly. We've still got to fill it full of fines, and not only that, we can either stain it or give it a quick wood burn, which my preferred method is wood burning. As you can see, we've done a lot in the past, and I think they turn out great. And to be honest, it's a quick and efficient way to finish up whatever you're making. So we do also want to give it that bit of a rustic, antique look, and the wood burning, I think, ideally does that really well. So there's our backboards on. As I said, our frame is nearly finished. All we need to do now is give it a quick sand, finish it all up, and also lay some hessian inside, and then get to start putting the fines in. Well, there we go. We've nearly finished Russell's display frame. We just ran over with the sander there, as you've seen. What you did not see though is we did also use the belt sander on the ground just to knock off a few hairy lips and edges, a few uneven spots. And then we just ran over it with the quick orbital sander there, give them a light touch up and just make everything smooth and knock off all the edges and burrs and sharp splinters. And I tell you what, it's not finished, but it looks great. It's coming along nicely, and our next step is to wood burn it. And that's where all the characteristics of the wood, the raw pallet wood, will come out. You know, all the knots and scratches and scars that it's had over its lifetime, which I think is really cool. I'm just seeing two bits of wood now that will come out really well, this bottom bit and the top bit, but not bits that you'll see because that is the back. But that's okay. So anyway, let's set up the wood burner now. It's just a very simple process, and let me show you how I do that. So moving on to our next step, and quite a fun one, I think, is wood burning. Who doesn't love burning stuff? And this connector up the top here, that's all I use on the cans. I can't exactly tell you how much it cost. However, I think Helena purchased this one from Bunnings. She was going to use it herself. However, she found it to be a little bit too aggressive. The flame, that is. However, I like it. So it come out into the shed, and this is where it lives now to help me wood burn my projects. So let's turn this guy over. Let's just give you a bit of a look at what it does. As I said, it's pretty cool how it brings out all that wood grain. So just a simple pass over the wood. We're just going to do this quickly and show you, and then we're going to continue on camera and finish it off, because it does take a little while to get right. And depending on how dark you want it is depending on how long you leave it on the wood, obviously. If you go back over and give it another pass, just like we're doing now, you can see it really brings it out a lot darker. And that's sort of ideally what I like to do. I like to give it one run over, just in lines, and then go back over once more. Sort of, over the first pass, it sort of dries the wood out, and the second pass, it sort of stains it, I feel. So, look at that. Pretty cool, eh? I love it. It's very hypnotic. It does not take that long either. And once you're finished, obviously you could sand it down and then stain it. Put a stain on top, but there's really no need. All the projects I've done in the past, I generally just wood burn them and leave them alone. Be careful not to burn the sheet. And look, good idea, I will say, is to do this in a ventilated space, because some of the smoke that comes off the wood here, the chemicals that can be in the pellet wood, you do have to be careful. So okay to do this, but probably wear a mask or even open the shed door and do it in a ventilated space. So there we go. We've done the first bottom board, and look at the difference. Just amazing. We could probably do a little bit more up this end. I just sort of rushed it quickly. However, there we go. First board done. That's just the back. We still need to do the sides and the front, and even inside. I know you're not going to see inside because we're going to put hessian down and then some of the fines, but if we don't do inside here, it's probably going to come through the hessian and make it look really light. sending it off a bit. So we're going to wood burn the whole thing, come back and give you a look at the finished result. And there she is, Russell's display frame. I must admit, it's looking pretty fancy too. We did just finish wood burning it, and I think it's turned out great. Just getting that next batch of rain too. So a really good rainy day project this, and I'm really enjoying it. So the back probably looks the best. Once I was wood burning it and I finished it, I thought, geez, that looks amazing. However, the back is not probably ideally what you're going to see. Russell, I imagine when Russell displays it, he's going to put it in the front hallway, have it something sitting like that up against a wall, and I said you won't see the back, and you will not see the center either, because we're going to fill it full of hessian, remember. So realistically, only the sides, the front, the top and, the top and the sides and the front you're going to see. But we do have to wood burn the whole lot, because when we put the hessian down, as I said before, we do not want the clear, light timber coming through the hessian. We want it to all be, conspicuous and matching. So it's going to look really, really good. We're going to put the hessian down now, as I said, glue it down, put our fines in on top of the hessian. As I said, it is going to look amazing. Russell's display frame, look out. Well, we just went and found our hessian inside the house. I don't know what it was doing in there. I brought it out into the shed though, and there's a couple of different types that I wanted to give you a look at. So I've done a few of these projects in the past, and to start off with, I was using this smaller type hessian. But I'll just give you a look at the difference though, and I'll just lay him out on the display board here, on Russell's display board. And you can see there that this hessian, not only does it's not wide enough to cover this whole board, but not only that, it's got the larger type square holes in it. It's a little bit stretched down here. So when we go to glue, a lot of the glue is going to come through, and that's okay because it does dry clear. But look, ideally, it's not the right hessian that you want to use, and you're going to have to overlap as you go down, and you're going to see where you go overlapping. So really, we want to be using this stuff, and to be honest, I bought this little hessian from a craft shop locally, and it was not suiting my needs, and Helena, my lovely partner, went and found this for me, and I'm not sure where she got it, a burlap fabric. So just the difference there though, if I roll out a bit of this hessian, the smaller type that I found, and we roll out a bit of Helena's that she found, gosh, she's good. You can see the difference, tighter stitching woven, as opposed to the one that I found here with the larger type squares. So ideally, Helena's is the type that we want to use. We can measure it out, it covers the whole board, we can cut it all out in one piece, and it's going to blend in and look fantastic. And then we get to put our fines on. So let's do that, and let's give you a look. So welcome back into the shed there, guys. It is the next day, and we are ready to rock and roll once again. Look out too, I've even cleaned up the shed, swept the floor, put all the tools away, and we've got the fire lit and the coffee sitting there keeping warm. So anyway, what we're going to show now is the display frame, and we've laid the hessian down last night, and we glued it all down, which is what we finished off with and what you guys seen. And now today is our last final step, and probably one of the best steps I feel, and that is starting to lay all the fines in. So the hessian looks great though, I'll just say quickly, just standing back up, you can imagine once all the fines go in and the hessian sitting up there floating, or looking like it's floating as a backing, looks fabulous, and it creates that sort of rustic, old antique feel. I just love it. So anyway, what we're going to do now, as I said, start laying all the fines in, the best part and the last step. And what I tend to do is, put all the best stuff in the middle. Brooches, coins, pendants, anything very, very special, including this token here, they will be center pieces. So ideally you want it to sort of fixate your eye in the center and then work around, you know, with your best items in the center, and then your eye can wander off and look at all the other coins and relics, or other relics I should say, because most of the coins and what have you go in the center. As I said, you want the best stuff in the middle. So funnily enough, we don't have many coins here either, just due to the fact that, look, the landholder, the original town founder, Hugh his name was, Hugh was a pretty tight fella by the sounds of it, or by the looks. For all the hunts that we've done here, we've only probably got, look, 5 or 6 coins, half a dozen coins. So as Russell and I have joked in the past, if Hugh ever dropped a coin, he probably spent the whole next day looking for it, trying to put it back in his pocket. So anyway, let's keep going with this. We're going to lay out all our pieces, work out just how much we've got, where everything needs to go, and we'll show you a look as we go. And that is a wrap up. As you've seen, we just finished placing everything and gluing it down, and I think it looks fantastic, and I'm sure Russell is going to think the exact same. So let's just give you a quick run through where we put everything, the order of all the coins and relics, and as I said, we do not have too many coins, just a lot of wonderful relics. The town founder, he must have been a very tight man, and as I said before, if he dropped a coin one day, he probably spent the whole next looking for it. Put it back in his pocket and keep it. So, and I will say too, he had 13 children living up there, and 6 sadly passed away, but that's also pretty common for the times. But look, a lot of these wonderful items and coins that we're looking at right now were from the family, and also later from the army being there. As you can see, we've got even a rue penny, or a couple of rue pennies there. So look, some wonderful items. We did not glue down the coins, we just fixed them down with blue tack, and the Hessian backing creates a great backing. As I said, to put the blue tack down, you just sort of screw the coins in place and they sit down quite nicely, and they all sit up nice and straight. So as I said, Russell's going to be able to display this in his front hallway, or you know, in his lounge room, wherever he likes, and I'm sure it's going to help lead on to that next permission, because these are the sort of pieces that look, they're talking pieces. They get people discussing the history of the area, and then people obviously wonder who put this together. And if they've got an old property, well look, they'll probably reach out and want the same, and I'm all for it. So really hope you enjoyed, guys. A couple of hours in the shed on a rainy day. We've knocked up a nice display frame for Russell to keep and enjoy. And as I said, this is all our town founders' history, so something that should stay with the property, and that's what I'm all about once again. So if you have enjoyed this video, you can make sure to give a like and even drop a comment. Let me know what you would do differently, and I really hope you enjoyed once again. We've turned a pallet into a wonderful display frame, and as I said, Russell's gonna love it. So anyway, we'll see you on that next adventure, hopefully out detecting next time, and I hope to catch you there. Cheers.